All right. I am excited for this one for sure. Every once in a while, you meet somebody who you're just like, oh, we're going to be friends for a long time. And I got to spend a week with Brian Barney last month at the Western Hunting Summit. And just we had so much in common outside of hunting that I was like, man, you're somebody who I could talk to and call and talk about things that no one else really understands. And since then, we've had a few conversations. I did his podcast, and I asked him to come on our podcast and talk about. Honestly, I wanted him to talk about elk, but I'm going to Hawaii in 2 weeks, and I'm going to hunt axe deer with my bow. And Brian goes to Hawaii every year, and everyone I talk to is like, "That's my dream hunt. Hawaii is my dream. I want to go hunt axe deer. I just don't know how to do it." And I decided, Brian, let's talk about Hawaiian hunting. Brian, how are you doing?
Man, I'm doing good. And likewise, Drew. I really appreciate your friendship, appreciate you coming on the podcast, and yeah, happy to jump on anytime. And yeah, man, Hawaii is a special place, so we can definitely fill an episode with Hawaii. I have fallen in love with hunting there. It's so wild to like hunt over the Pacific and and I've always said like hunting different species in different habitats improves your skill set in different ways. So a lot of the reason why I have a lot of success out west is due to all the experience, all the places I get to hunt, including Hawaii.
Yeah, and for me, like, there's certain things that kind of scratch an itch for me, right? Like, I this is my first time going to do Hawaii, um, but like, I go hunt in Sonora, right, in January, and that scratches an itch, or over the counter archery in January in Arizona. Like that scratches an itch for me because that's kind of like hunting season is kind of wraps up in November, and you have some stuff in December, but like by January you're kind of jonesing again. But Hawaii, like you can go over there and do it, and you have spring bear. You can go do Hawaii. I'm going in August. You can go July or June and go hunt deer before season. So it's really a neat opportunity.
Yeah, it's a really neat opportunity. Yeah, it's they can hunt year round and due to control populations, but really the time to go hunt axis, I would say, is like it starts off in the spring in the velvet, like April, May. By May, they're starting to get hardhorn and starting to rut. June, July, those are kind of peak months for the rut. The rut was just winding down. In fact, I just got back about a week ago from Hawaii. The rut was just winding down, but then you still have August, and it's such even temperatures out there that the rut lasts quite a while. So you'll probably still hear some calling. There'll be a lot of hardhorn bucks. You're kind of hunting the tail end of the rut in August, but yeah, man, it's an absolute riot. That place, it's like Maui alone has 80,000 axis deer, and Lanai has 20,000 axis deer. And there's a lot of other opportunities too. Like I just got back, and I love hunting mouflon sheep, and the mouflon sheep is just amazing, man. Some of the best eyesight I've ever seen. Just some crazy opportunities out there to go chase these critters around. And it definitely scratches an itch with the bow for me out there. It's just amazing bow hunting, and so yeah, you're in for a treat for sure.
Yeah, and I see some of these things like I had no idea. Like they told me like, oh, bring a rifle. You can pretty much kill as many as you want, and that just didn't seem appealing to me.
Mm-mm.
Right, I think a lot of the hunting that you do over there is like guys go over there on vacation and then they're like, "Oh, hey, I can go hunt some axis deer real quick and go kill a bunch of them." It's not what I want to do. Like, I don't want to jump out of a side by side and shoot a deer or whatever, a pig, a sheep, whatever it is. It's just not my thing anymore. Um, but then I start hearing like bow hunting. They're one of the hardest animals to bow hunt because they're so jumpy, which I love coos deer for that reason because coos deer are so turned on and people were making it seem like these things are more turned on than coos deer, which I have a hard time to believe because I feel like coos deer are the most switched on animal in the world. Um, but I mean, bow hunting, it's next level or what?
Yeah, I've fallen in love with both coos deer and axis deer. Yeah, and I'm like you. I don't want to just kill things. The axis meat is so good, so I will kill some does while I'm out there and bring home the meat, targeting a larger age class buck, and they are so challenging, man. It's like I had this scenario. I kind of hunt for like a 30-inch buck is kind of like the mark, and 30 inches tall from the head measuring up the horn. That's like trophy class. And I had man, I had been hunting them, like I've had success on trophy critters my entire life. I'm good with the bow, and man, I think I had like 7 or 8 years before I killed my first 30-inch buck with it, which was last season, where I was finally able to get one. And I have a couple 29s, I have some 28s. It just took me time to learn the species, to learn the nuances of it, and they're so jumpy, man. It's like they are comparable. I don't know that I'd put them ahead of a coos deer, but definitely even with or just as jumpy as a coos deer. And
Really?
you just can't make any mistakes. They're so challenging, and that's what lights a fire under me as well. It's like I've hunted goats out there, and goats just don't present a challenge. The like I'm not into just like you have to control their populations and the ranchers want you to kill them, and that's just not my deal. It's like access are my deal, what I go over there to focus on, but extremely challenging. I got in on a good buck this last trip around, and just to give you an idea, so spotted them, they were up on their feet early afternoon. There was a good 30-inch buck, 31, 32, somewhere in there, and he had a doe. He was still rutting her, and I was able to kind of crawl in. I'd spotted them at a couple hundred yards and crawl in. I was able to get to like 40 yards of them. But I kind of positioned myself in the sunshine on my knees, and I had cover in front of me where the deer were, and I was waiting for a good shot on this buck. And I was waiting for the right time to be able to slide an arrow in there. And through that time, the doe kind of circled around and went to my right and like got to where I was in the open. And a deer elk would never pick me out or pick out my silhouette if I'm kneeling there and I don't move. Like ungulates really see movement far more than camo patterns or silhouettes. And so, I can get away with that. And that doe walked to the right and took one look at me, crouched right there, and just picked me out right now. And she had me and blew out, took that buck with her. And here I was like 37 yards away from him or 40 yards away from him, waiting for a shot, and picked out my silhouette with no movement. So they just have extremely good eyesight, extremely good instincts. And once you take on the challenge of trying to kill one, they definitely humble a lot of people out there, me included. They're real difficult to kill. It is the challenge or the essence of it that has also hooked me or made me fall in love with the species. And you get a lot of opportunities, and it's probably the only reason you can get it done on those things, because they are really switched on.
So are they? I mean, they're like I don't want to say they're a hybrid of an elk and a deer. They're not. They're not literally that. But like, are they herd animals too? Like, I mean, are they elk? Are they deer? What are these things? What you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
so
What would you compare?
they were gifted to King Kamehameha in the 1600s, and they were gifted to him from India. So axis deer are their own deer species. They're not really a combination of anything. So they evolved from thousands or tens of hundreds of thousands of years of avoiding Bengal tigers. So it's one of the reasons why they're so switched on. So the spots really blend in the landscape. They have a great camo pattern. You just can't get away with anything. And they're a bit different. Like there's different styles to hunt them. You can hunt them in open country. Definitely glass is advantageous, but you don't really sit on a master vantage point and bed them down. Like sometimes you do if you're hunting them in open country. It just depends. There's so many different habitats from the thicks all the way to the open country. But I would say like the standard place to hunt them is they do like thick cover to disappear in that, kind of similar to a coos deer. And but they'll feed in a lot of the open places. They are a herd animal, so they herd up. Sometimes there's giant groups of them that can be up to 100 axis deer. Most of the time, those groups are going to be like fives to tens, and then sometimes those bucks will be cruising by themselves. I chased a lone buck, but he was headed towards more axis deer, headed to bed with other axis deer in and through there. Yeah, they are a herd animal. I would say their senses. They've got a great nose on them. You can't get the wind wrong. They will wind you every single time. A nose similar to a whitetail or an elk or something like that. Their eyesight is better than. I would say their eyesight is better than a deer and elk. Their eyesight is going to be similar to like an antelope. They pick up movement so well. They really trust their instincts. So if they see movement, if they see anything weird, like they can catch you moving in between brush. So you really have to pull out all the stops. There's like no shortcuts. Like you spend a lot of time crawling, making sure you're out of sight of them. They'll bed in the shade. Like the sun is so intense around the equator that they're looking for shade to bed. So they're gonna find cover during the middle of the day, gonna bed down. They're really good at catching danger in their beds when you're sneaking up. So the skill set, it's not like a sit on a master vantage point and like plan out this methodical, calculated play. It's more of like still hunting through, like I'll grab vantage points in the morning that look over open country, make my moves from there, or I'm like moving through country and you have to like glass and be really disciplined. Like the moment you lose focus on axis deer, like it's tough to go still hunt for a half a mile or a mile or 2 or 3 miles. And the minute that you start moving too quick, the minute you don't pull up your binos and glass in front of you, there's a axis deer that catches you and blows up and takes other axis deer with them. So it's like this real disciplined still hunting, which I think it makes my still hunting way better, which then I'm able to apply on elk, like chasing them into the timber, things of that nature. So it's given me like a lot of confidence in my still hunting. But you do a lot of like mobile vantage points and still hunting with them, and definitely have to have your binos glued to your eyes at all times, but a lot of it's glassing close.
Really? So this is different than I thought it was going to be. So optics wise, I have a few questions. I want to talk about knee pads and optics, but optics wise, what am I bringing? Am I bringing like a Zulu 6? I'm bringing just my 8 power binos. What do I need to bring a pair of 15s? Or is it not that big of a country? What are you doing over there?
Yeah, I mean, it all depends where you're hunting, but yeah, I found that I don't need to bring 15s. I can throw them in my pack. It'd be a good thing to bring along because you're probably not going to need a spotting scope and tripod.
Hmm.
I when I first started, I would bring my spotting scope and tripod and wouldn't use it much. So I do like a set of 15s in the backpack if you spot them a long ways off, or if you're glassing big country. I find that most of the time I want low power, so the Zulu sixes are awesome. The 12 by 42s might be a little tight, but they seem to work really well at picking out those axis deer. I tend to like that glass. Also, like the pair of 10 bys. If you got a pair of the 10 by 30s, those things work really well too. So I like the image stabilization to have a stable image to be able to glass those things on the fly, because there won't be much of a chance to set up and glass off a tripod, unless you're glassing off a big open expanse, which does happen out there. But if you are doing that, it's only going to be, first light in the morning, and then you're going to disappear into the bush and be still hunting your way through. So definitely low power glass is going to be advantageous.
So I wonder, like, I have a pair of like an 8 power Swaros that I love, the EL ranges. I
Hmm.
absolutely love those binos. That seems like the bino I'd want to run. That's pretty much a bino I run all the time on my chest. That seems like what I'd want to run. 'Cause, yeah, it's different than I thought. Like in my mind, I imagine I've been to Oahu, Kauai, and the Big Island, and I kind of imagined it'd be more like the Big Island. Like I was going to need to run big glass, sit on a tripod, look for them. But it kind of makes more sense what you're saying. 'Cause, I mean, a lot of those islands, like Oahu and Kauai, it's like just steep hills. There's not a lot of rolling hills to get up on even glass from. It's kind of like they kind of like peak up to like the top of a volcano and then go back to the ocean. So is it? I mean, that kind of makes more sense. You're gonna be still hunting them and looking for them like that.
Yep, dude, the 8 by Swaros will be perfect for that country. Yeah, you'll be running those nonstop around your
Okay.
chest. And wouldn't be a bad idea to have those 15s in your pack just for field judging or looking at bucks if you spot them a ways off. But yeah, it won't be a setup in glass. I mean, most likely it's all the country I've hunted. I've hunted a bunch of different places on both islands, and it just seems like you have to still hunt your way through. And it's similar, like even hunting the open country, it's like similar to like breaks or badlands, where it's hard to find a master vantage point that shows off
Mhm.
all the cracks and crevices or shows off all the cover in and through there. So even if you are hunting open country, there, like you said, there isn't a master vantage point that's going to show it all off, like if you're hunting coos deer. And there's like bigger populations of axis than coos deer, so they're kind of spread out throughout the landscape, so you almost just have to go hunt your way through it. So yeah, the 8 bys are going to be perfect, and it is like breaks or badlands where you got to just like disappear into those breaks into the depressions, into the highs, into the lows, and kind of still hunt your way through. But you have to be really disciplined at glassing in front of you, and that includes like when you get in timber and you have to expect an axis deer to be anywhere, and you can't lose focus, because the minute you do, you bust him out, and that was your opportunity at a buck, and he was right in front of you, but you didn't see him before he saw you. So it is like a lot of still hunting or mobile glassing, mobile vantage points, which really helps for out west. It's not the style you'll hunt every animal out west, but it's like a great tool for the toolbox.
Yeah, I am not. I'm excited because I don't still hunt a lot. Um, when I first started hunting, I hunted this old Indian guy, and he would tell me like I move too fast, right? And he's like, he would say, "If you're sweating, you're not hunting," and that kind of really changed my game on a lot of ways. Like even for just like because sometimes even though I don't still hunt a lot, I've slowed down a ton and it's helped me find animals. So sometimes you're walking right by animals, because you're going too fast. You put your head down. I think when I first started hunting, I was just like, I just wanted to be just mountain tough, and I wanted to be freaking Cameron Haynes. I wanted to charge ridges and like be as beat people to the top. And then I realized like how much I was missing by doing that. And I'm not knocking either of those guys. That those guys are they're phenomenal. I'm just like in my mind, I just had to be like the fastest dude, right? And I just had to get up there. Um, so still hunting is a skill, and the one thing he told me was, "If you're sweating, you're not hunting," and that has actually changed me because like when I start panting a little bit, I'm like, "Oh, I need to slow down."
Yeah, man, it's really smart. Yeah. And it's like me too. I move way too quick. I move past animals. I want to get to where I'm headed to. So I'm the same way, man, as I move too quick. So this has really helped develop that skill set. And even though we might not do a lot of still hunting, you are going to be still hunting when you spot a coos and you're moving
Mhm,
in on them. You have to relocate that animal. When I spot a mule deer and I bet them down and I'm coming over the top to come on that mule deer, I have to relocate him with my glass. I have to see him before he sees me. Or when I'm hunting elk and I'm hearing him bugle and I'm moving, like I have to know when to slow down in the timber when I'm going to encounter those cows or that bull. And so this skill set of still hunting, like I might not still hunt for hours for elk, but I am going to be still hunting for them as I'm approaching bugles or as I'm trailing them in the timber. So this has really helped develop that skill set. Like at the end of the stock on Western game, being able to slow down, being able to pick them out of the shadows, being able to see them before they see me and make that final last move on them. And axis deer will also make you really good at like the red zone, the final 200 yards of making an approach on an animal. Like you're going to get practice doing that with your bow. And you'd mentioned you wanted to ask about knee pads. Bring them. You want to have like a knee pads. They have like kiave bushes there, and the kiave bushes, they produce shade for the animals. They're kind of like an oak or something like that or similar, but they have these spines on them, and so you definitely like crawling, you'll put your knee like right in the spine. You have that. You have lantana. So pants you want to breathe, but they also have to be durable, as these lantana bushes are all barbed. Think of them like a blackberry bush or something, but thinner, and they have like barbed hooks on them that just grab a hold of your pants or your clothing and can rip it up. And so you want to have light and breathable, but you also have to have durable over there for the lantana, the kiave. And you get home, and I can look at the bottom of my shoes right now, and there's like these kiave nails that are going through the bottom end of them. And also like good durable footwear. That lava rock just chews footwear up, and the
mhm,
lava rock is kind of like, you cover miles, but it's not as easy as hiking out west. You've got this lava rock that's just
mhm.
uneven. And so you're using all these balance muscles in your legs. So to do a couple miles out in Hawaii is more like doing a few miles, like where I'm at here in Montana, or at least the exertion level, because it is like really rough, rugged country.
Yeah, my buddy told me the same thing. I talked to him yesterday about because he's been over there. He's like, "You're gonna destroy your pants." It sounds a lot like Arizona because I hunt a lot of desert stuff, southern Arizona, and it's got the cat's paw and like it's got the rocks, and you're unstable, and you just destroy your pants. Like you're going to. He's like, whatever pants you bring. I'm actually excited. I got a new pair of pants from First Light. They're new 308s, and they're actually like a thicker pant. And I'm like, oh, this would be perfect for that. Like I was like, this would be perfect for. I run a lot of like I love like the Prana Zions and the thinner stuff, But man, in some of this terrain, you come out looking like you're, some kid wearing some 90s pants, you know what I mean? Like, just all there's holes everywhere, it's just destroyed. Um, so yeah, it does a lot like hunting Arizona.
Dude, real similar, but it's totally different but similar. It's like the same with the rocks, the uneven footing, the barb, the spines, everything wants to poke you, stick in you. It's real similar, but it's totally different because it's jungle habitat, and so
Mhm.
they get a ton of rains out there. It depends on which side of the island you're hunting on, but yeah, it is similar in that the uneven footing, the spines, the sticking you, but it's all different plant types, like all different a look and feel than Arizona, if that makes sense.
So I'll probably run my mountain biking knee pads, which are soft. Are you
Perfect.
running like a soft knee pad or like a hard, like a contractor's knee pad?
Yeah, soft one. Soft ones are quiet, crawling through the brush in and through there. The spines don't seem to get through them. Yeah, the soft ones are money.
That's what I was thinking. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what about like with these things being in the rocks? I have like a almost like a water sock that my buddy turned me onto to run, and it's got like the contractor's gloves where they've got like the rubber overmold on them.
Hmm.
It's a sock like that for like the stalking part of a hunt. So he's been running them for years. He's like, these are the best, and they're pretty awesome. So you can feel everything, but they're also strong enough to like walk over rocks and not get like. He says you can go through thorns. And it doesn't really get you. What are you doing on your feet in this?
Oh,
Because this stuff is loud. I mean, the lava rock. It's a different terrain. You're not hunting on like dirt. It's like there is dirt, but there's lava rocks, and it's a loud, crunchy area. What are you using for your feet to get in that final 100 yards?
yeah, that's killer, man. That shoe sounds like will work really well out there. I don't. I wear I pretty much love hunting in a shoe, and I stalk in a shoe. You have the trade winds out there, and really, it's just skill set of like being able to pick out hard trails are really important, like trails
Mhm.
through country, the way you kind of move through. And for me, it's like a speed thing. It's just about slowing down and being quiet enough and being able to use the winds when I'm getting in on them. And if it's super still, it's like it doesn't matter what you have, you're not going to be able to get close because it makes too much noise. So I think those shoes will be absolute money in the crunch moving in, but I think you'll find a lot of times that you don't even need them, that it's just going to be about picking out hard trails, really slowing your movements down. And it seems like so sound with the axis deer, it's like if they hear a sound, then they look in that direction and then they want to see movement to confirm that something's coming in on them. So the sound can alert them to your presence as you're moving in. But I find that they really rely heavily on their eyes, and that the way the trade winds move through that country, that it makes enough like surround noise that you're able to get away with a little bit more. So for me, it's just about slowing down, using trails. There'll also be thick country that you have to like make your way through, and so choosing the right way to make your way through that thick country or in the thicks is definitely going to be advantageous. Like getting underneath the canopy and in some of that stuff, it's just moving real slow and glassing in front of you. But I find that that eyesight is the biggest challenge, not the noise over there.
Really?
Yep.
So now I have to throw antelope into this mix. We've got this like super deer. We've got this like antelope, elk, coos deer running around over there. We're gonna go hunt in open terrain. So in my mind, a lot of Hawaii is so thick. So when you're saying you're going under the canopy, I mean, you're getting in on these things. Like you're not getting a 50-yard shot inside that stuff. It's like jungle.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of close shots. It just depends. It's like half and half. It's I like to catch them in the open country, moving back to those thicks, or in the evening when they're coming out of the thicks and into the open country. But there's a time to get into those thicks and hunt them, and so it just depends. But they're like ironwoods, and so it's a canopy that you get under, and you can kind of hunt your way under that canopy where these axis deer bed, like early in the afternoon or late morning, going in after him into those thicks. That's not really where my skill set lies. Like I like to catch them in that open country and like to make moves, but they'll also like stage in this country. So in the morning, I'll catch them and they're moving into these thicks and they're on the edges of it. And so then I'll hunt the edges and be able to catch them on those edges before they bed or right after they bed. So it's really varied habitat, but I have buddies that just focus heavily on the thicks because that's where the bucks end up and where all the axis deer are middle of the day, and they'll still hunt their way through quietly and be able to pick out axis deer bedded and be able to shoot them in their beds. And I actually the buck I killed this last trip, killed a really nice buck. He's like a 31, 32. And I caught this buck solo. So I was hunting like sparsely open stuff that then would intermix into like thicker kiave bushes, like almost bedding ground. And I'm just kind of hunting my way through glassing. And I got into like this patch of kiaves and I was just working a trail down and through there, and all of a sudden I catch this axis buck in front of me. He's on his feet and he's moving towards me, and I'm able to kind of hide my silhouette, duck down. And a lot of guys make a mistake when they first see an animal, they duck and then the animals catch that movement. I like to get down or break up my silhouette, but I wait till that animal's not looking at me. I was able to duck down, he's working right at me, and then he beds like in front of me right there, like early evening, late afternoon, and he beds right there, and I can just see his antlers like in the kiave shade. And so he didn't know I was there, and I was able to crawl up, crawl real slow. I was able to get like 30 yards away from him, and then I just sat there and I was waiting for him to stand, and he was kind of looking quartered away from me but not dead away from me. So he's 30 yards. And so I could kind of raise up on my knees and I'm like, man, can I get an arrow over that grass and into his body? And I could kind of see his body, but he had some sticks and bushes kind of like in front of the vitals there a little bit. And I just couldn't get over the grass enough to feel confident to run one in him in his bed. And as I'm sitting waiting for him to stand for like 15 minutes, I have this, I've got a range on him. I know exactly where he is. I'm 30 yards away, which is extremely close. And all of a sudden he looks dead away from me. So now I know I can get away with the movement. I stand up and draw my bow as he's looking dead away from me, and then I was able to settle that pin at 30 yards and able to heart shoot him right there in his bed, and ran like 50 yards and tipped over. So it really like plays on your instincts of like what you can get away with and what you can't, makes you really good in that red zone, like I say, like being comfortable in bow range. And yeah, I was able to arrow that buck, and definitely one of my best bucks, and a great wide shape to him, and able to arrow him right in his bed without him knowing. But that's an extremely close shot at 30 yards for me. So it can be a combination of both. I find that, you know, I think I shoot most of my axis deer from probably 30 to 50, but I have killed quite a few at 20 yards too, where you just get in close and you're in that thick stuff. So close shots can definitely happen on those axis deer.
Really? Yeah, people were telling me that, "Oh, you're gonna be shooting really far on these deer, so you're getting in on them. They're not you're not having to go and take pokes." And
No, I mean, you'll have chances at 60, 70 yards, but yeah, it's just it's a difficult shot, especially out there with the winds
a
and
lot of
different
wind.
things. So,
Lot
you
of
know,
wind.
yeah, I'm trying to get them. I mean, my game is to get close and kill them with all animals, but yeah, I'm trying to get like around that 50-yard mark on them is like a lot where a lot of my open shots come from in that country, and I'll stretch it out to 60 or so, but really that 40 to 60 is going to be your money window. And if you're chasing them in their beds, I shot that last one at 30. I mean, you can get them 20 to 40 yards when you're hunting that thick stuff and in their beds. So, yeah, and really difficult. It's like coos deer. I find that like probably 1 in 3, 1 in 4 coos deer will jump my string. I think axis deer are almost like 1 in 2 or 1 in 3. They are the jumpiest animal I have ever hunted for jumping strings. That one didn't jump my string. Neither did the doe I shot. But they are a really jumpy animal. I've actually had them. I shot at a broadside buck once that is like 40 yards. He stepped up broadside. I was at full draw, released my arrow, and he reacted to the sound of the bow, and he spun and he caught it right in the front of his chest right there. So I got really
No
lucky.
way.
I was
That
shooting it
fast.
broadside and then hit him right in the front from 40 yards. So yeah, they spin and duck and move, and they can be way out of the way of your arrow by the time it gets there.
Are you anticipating that? Are you aiming intentionally lower? Or are you
No.
just holding it where it needs to go and just letting
Yep.
it fly?
Yep. Put it right where it needs to be, and eventually you'll have one wait on it. I find that I find that the wind noise definitely helps with them not jumping the string. Definitely not being on alert. Although I've had axis that aren't on alert that still jump my string. Yeah, it's just an odds deal. But for any of these animals, antelope, coos deer, axis deer, I think those three are like the most jumpy animals for jumping strings. And no, I put my pin right where it goes, and eventually there's one that stays still. And if I miss them, it just is what it is. It's like if they moved and ducked my string or got out of the way of my arrow, they were like better than me that day. So it just seems like you can't anticipate it because it's not like a duck on a whitetail from 20 yards away. When they react to your string, they can be 2, 3 yards out of the way by your time your arrow gets there. So there's not something you can really plan for like aiming low. 'Cause they do load up, but it's like by the time your arrow gets there, they're already out of the way of it.
Yeah. It's insane to think that. I mean, right? You're shooting your bow, let's say 280 feet per second. That's a round. That's probably an average number there, 270, 280. If you're shooting 30 yards, I mean, that's like less than a second to get there, and those things are jumping it, right? I mean, it's crazy. That's just unreal to think that. I mean, that's like a third of a second they're able to jump it in that time. And we were doing some downrange chronoing for doing some getting our tapes done for a hunt we're going on, and it's still going like 260 at 60 yards. I mean, like it's unbelievable to think they have the ability to do that, right? And think about it in that perspective, right? I mean,
Dude, it's so wild. It's like the speed of sound is 600 miles per hour, and so that
mhm,
sound travels and sitting down range listening to a bow, and I've played with it quite a bit. Is it bow noise? Is it arrow noise? And I do think it can be a combination of both, but I do think that when you sit down range and you listen to a bow go off, you hear the bow, the thud, and then right before the arrow gets there, you hear the whistle of the fletching,
yep,
and then it hits. So it's thud, and it hits. So if they're reacting to that fletching noise, they have way less of a chance to react. So I think they're really reacting to that bow going off, and they seem to react more when they're on edge. They seem to react more like quiet conditions if there isn't a bunch of wind. But yeah, it is amazing, man.
well, you think about it, it would have to be 90 yards for it to be 1 second. So, and 1 second is one. so, so at 30 yards for them to jump the string, that's just shocking for them to hear it do it and be able to make that movement that quickly and react. And it's just so instinctual, right? That's what makes deer so cool and animals so cool. They're just so instinctual. And we have it in ourselves too, right? Like, I mean, in such a less way, but like, dude, like you open your fridge, all of a sudden a jar starts falling. All of a sudden, you've caught the jar before you realize what you did, right? But
Oh, that's
that's,
that's so true.
you know what I mean? Like I just did the other day. My wife bought a freaking jar of beets, and I don't know who. It almost spilled all over my kitchen. I was like, wham! And I caught it. I was like, wow, that was pretty impressive. Nothing like a deer jumping a string, though. I mean, that's just crazy that they can do that, and they're doing it without seeing it too. That's the crazy thing. It's just like they hear, react down within a third of a second, and an arrow will miss them. That's a really cool thing. Um, I have a few more. I have a bunch I want to talk about, but in my mind, I imagine a lot of it being transitional hunting with these things. 'Cause in my mind, I imagine them more like herdish, elkish, and I imagine kind of feeding out and then coming back to dark timber. Um, are you catching them in transition?
Yeah, bunch. Yeah, transition and moving. They'll have quite a distance they'll move between feeding and bedding. It seems like similar to an elk, and sometimes they're living in a smaller space. But it seems like you want to catch them on their feet when they're moving. I mean, hunting the bedding is a different skill set, and I will do a touch of that, or you will get into that as well. But a lot of it is transitional, and they tend to move quite a bit and not hold in the same spot. So even if you're hunting them in their feeding feature, they're going to be moving through like grazing in that feeding feature. They're going to move into their thick cover that they want to bed, but then they're going to move through that sparsely open cover and feed their way in. When they get up in the afternoon, evening, they're going to feed and graze around the edges before they come out. So a ton of transitional hunting and hunting them on their feet, and really, it's you get pretty good at like glassing them up. It's amazing, like because we don't get to hunt spotted animals too often. But it's
Mhm.
amazing how well those spots like blend in and camouflage into the shade and into their habitat. So you get really good at like glassing for the spots. And it's like any animal you hunt, you have to kind of build a mental picture for it. So when you first start, it's going to be really foreign to you, glassing for spots, for the color, the size, the shape. Of course, size and shape is going to be similar to what you hunt out west. But it seems like with any of these habitats, it takes a bit to like dial into it. So with your glassing, like really looking into the shadows and just catching those spots in and through there. But it's amazing how much they camouflage in, and like what a skill set it takes to be able to glass them up, to be able to see them before they see you. And of course, if they're in an open field feeding first thing in the morning, you can pick them out fairly easily, but you're going to hunt them a lot in the transitional, a lot in the sparse cover, a lot where you got a glass in front of you. And again, the moment you lose focus or you're not glassing in front of you, you think there's no axis deer in front of
There's
you,
a deer.
you blow out a herd of them, or you blow out a nice buck, and you're like, gosh dang it. So it's really like about keeping this mental focus as you're hunting them, because you can still hunt for an hour and not see a deer, and then all of a sudden you lose focus and you start moving through, and there's your giant 30-inch buck. He was right in front of you on his feet, and you didn't see him because he blended in so well. So it's like, man, you just really got to keep that mental focus as you're hunting them and glassing in front of you and always believing there's a deer there. And then like any animal, it's like there's a difference between a high pressure axis and a low pressure axis. So if they're in places where guys have been hunting them, where the places that we get to hunt, and there are, there's public land, there's private land, but most of the places that we get to hunt, are places that our buddies have hunted or their buddies have hunted. So they're usually pressured deer, and these pressured deer they know that human is their predator and the predator they have to worry about, because in Hawaii they don't have Bengal tigers. So
No.
they don't need to be as switched on as they are, but they're switched on because they get targeted and they get hunted. And so they get really wary, and they know what a human is, and they're looking for that movement. They're looking for you to make a mistake. And so to kill an axis deer, you really have to have everything right and be perfect. I mean, you can run into one in the thick cover, but you have to be really good at still hunting, really good on your stalking. And it's just like, don't take any shortcuts when you're stalking these things. If it calls for you to crawl so they don't see you, you crawl. If you have to belly crawl, you belly crawl, but you just do whatever it takes, because if you try to take a shortcut and just think, oh, I got this tree in between me and these axis deer, I'm just going to move at them, they'll catch you moving in between the branches, and all of a sudden you're busted, and this opportunity you had at a great buck is gone. And so everything has to be right on these axis deer, no shortcuts, and you make the absolute best stock you can make on them.
I got a bunch of stuff to talk about axis deer, but you keep talking about crawling. Have you seen this sight saver thing that my buddies are making out of Arizona?
No.
Dude, look at this. So I got out both my bows. We actually ran into these guys in San Diego at an event, and so this is a sight saver. Hold on here. Down here. I got one on this bow here. Actually, hold on here. So it's made for like laying your bow down and not ruining your sight. But you can do push-ups on it, and you can use it for crawling in and stalking an animal. There we go. There we go. So it goes around the side of your bow. You can hang your bow on your bow off your backpack with it too, but it just stays in your bow like that. It's 4 inches long, like that. You can put it on the ground. You literally can do push-ups on your bow. So now when you're stalking, you can just throw your bow and keep going like that and moving forward. You don't have to worry about your sight.
Dude, that's crazy. Yeah, I've never seen it. Like what a great thought for crawling in. Yeah, so you're not putting your sight on the ground or your wheel on the ground on the other
Oh,
side, or your arrow fletchings.
it's
That's a
you could
game
do
changer, man.
push-ups. You could do push-ups on it. And it's just two dudes out of Arizona who hunt coos deer together, and one of them was on a hunt in New Mexico, and sorry, I'm throwing my bows out of the way here. I got bows laying all over the place in optics. And he was on a bow hunt in New Mexico, and he was crawling in on some antelope, and he was just smashing his sight into the ground, trying to get on these things. So he said he was like, could not, he was just struggling to keep his arm off the ground to crawl. And then he went home and like made something up, and he was running it for like 3 years. And they kept saying, you should sell those, you should sell those, you should sell those. And finally, like 2 years ago, they came out with them. And dude, we were at a show, we bought 6 of them, all of us bought them. And like I had them on the show, and it's like a $60 $70 piece of gear that is rad. It weighs nothing. You can fold it up and use it to actually hang your bow on your backpack, which is really neat. And then you can also just, I run mine just sticking out all the time. And that way, when you get somewhere, you can just throw your bow on the ground. It's not going to mess your sight up like if you're shooting tack or something. Um, it's a slick part, dude. I'll have to get you one. I'll have them get on text with you or something. Have them send you one of those things because I think it's something that you're gonna love and probably be talking about a lot. And just two small dudes, like not as building them out of their garage, right? They're rad.
Dude, that's insane. That's an absolute game changer. It's not many times I see a new invention or new device that I've never seen or thought of. How smart, man. Yeah, that's crazy. I can definitely use that on a bunch of my hunts. And yeah, it'd just be so nice to be able to set it on the ground, and also just nice for like setting it down glassing. I know I'm always
Yeah,
so tenderly like setting my bow down to glass, and the stands are great, but I just find that when I set my bow up on a stand, like the wind will blow it over
hundred
or it'll
percent,
knock over. So I like setting it on the ground, but that's just going to protect it more. And I like what you said, like you can do push-ups off that thing, like which means that like if somebody kicks your bow or somebody steps on something or it's sitting there, it's going to be protected. Yeah, how smart, man. Yeah, I'm definitely in the market for one of those. That's awesome.
What boat are you shooting?
So we shoot that new Matthews lift.
Perfect. Yeah, it'll fit on that one. Yeah, I think there's like one like a prime. It won't go on to right now, but like it goes on. Like I have it on my Hoyt and my Bowtech. We put them on the Matthews when they were there. Yeah, it's just a legit piece of gear. It's super simple, and I know they just got into Go Hunt. Like they're just like it's just a no brainer piece of gear, right? Like you see it and you're just like, oh, I'm putting that on my bow. It weighs nothing, like a couple ounces, but like yeah, they'll show you like they'll walk up to you and start doing push-ups, right? Like they are up at TAC. They're just hustling right now, which is really neat. Like I love small business and entrepreneurs. So like they didn't even have a booth at TAC. They brought their bows with them and they're just going to booths doing push-ups on their bows for people, showing them, and just super cool dudes, man. I really want to see them do well. But yeah, I'll have to get you in contact with them and get you one because it's something you're going to be telling all your friends about. Like you need it for sure.
Yeah, that's super cool, man. Yeah, that'll definitely be advantageous in Hawaii hunting those axis deer.
Yeah. So, all right, now I kind of lost track of where we were. Herd animals, getting on them. Um, are, what's a typical day look like hunting these things? Like, are you hunting them all day? Because I'm a guy who likes to hunt from sunrise to sunset. Can I hunt these things all day long, or is it like just a morning hunt, evening hunt? What does it look like? Let's just say you woke up in the morning. What's this hunt look like for you?
Yeah, so this is going to be great for you because you can hunt them all day long, and it's going to be dependent on the property that you're hunting. I tend to focus my effort mornings and nights when they're in movement, they're in transition, they're moving to those feeding. I just find that I have the best chance to kill them. But if I'm short on time or I'm down to my last couple days, I will hunt all day long. It seems like those are long days in Hawaii and the heat and things. But yeah, you just get into those thicks and you start hunting that timber under that canopy and glassing for bedded deer, and you can definitely hunt them all day long. So it seems like it's action packed in the morning from about sunup. And let's see, I'm trying to remember when. So, I'm usually like a typical day for me is I'm up an hour before light or so. I'm getting a cup of coffee. I want to get out there in the dark because the moment the lights come on, it's absolute action as they're in the feeding features.
Really?
Yep. So I want to be at the right spot at first light. First light, like a lot of times I'm going to be glassing the feeding features. I'm going to be looking for a good buck to make a play on. I'm not too eager to like jump in the bush yet. I just want to like survey the scene and see what's going on the edges. Then I'm going to start to hunt my way through. So I'll start hunting edges. I'll start hunting where I can see more feeding features. I'll start getting keyed into deer. And it seems like most hunts, I'm not spending the whole time looking for them. I'm actually hunting them, making plays, making stalks. I take the first morning there and I catch a good buck and he's moving through the open and I kind of tail him on the side of the thicks because I think he's going to come towards the thicks and he just stays like 80 to 100 away from me. I trail him all the way down as he starts to go into his bedding. I make like a more aggressive move to jump in behind him. I actually had him at like 40, 50 yards walking dead away from me, walked through some brush. I tried to make another move on him and boom, I busted a doe I didn't know was there that he was walking into. She blew up the scenario. He's gone. Now I'm like, I got to start over, And so now I think I made back wit to my vantage point, started hunting up those thicks, got in the edges. I actually passed a really nice buck in there that was about a 28 or so, and I had him at 20 yards feeding down below me. Decided not to kill him. There was another buck that was a little ways further, and I had a spike walk up to about 15 yards and catch my silhouette again as I'm standing in the brush and blow all of them up, and that's just kind of like a typical morning. I'm going to hunt till around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. Then I'm going to take a break. I'm going to get out of the bush, go get a cold drink, cool down, and then I'll start again at like 3 or 4 o'clock. So early afternoon, hunting the edge of the thicks, the edge of the bedding, and then hunting all the way till the evening when they're out in the open. Like most ungulates, like they're really susceptible. Like late in the evening, you're going to be able to get away with more movement as you're starting to lose that light. You can just get away with a little bit more, but you're going to use all your hunting instincts. So, like moving through the shadows, you don't want to get caught out in the open. And there's going to be a lot of times on axis where you're just stuck, where you just can't make a move. There's not a move to make. If you make any moves, you blow them up. And so you're just waiting for them to feed off or feed over the rise or feed into the brush or into the cover. And then you're going to continue your stalk. So a bit like shadowing or coyoting like an elk herd. Like you're going to be doing that a lot where you see them, move to them, and then you've almost got to like adapt to the situation you're given. So you see them 200, 300 yards off, they're moving into the thick. Now you're going to close in and you're going to move the edge of the thicks and really use your instincts to not give yourself away. And then you're going to get to 100 yards and you're going to get sight of where they were and you're going to glass and, oh, there he is again. Now you have to adapt to that situation. It's like, oh, can I get in that bottom and move towards them? What's the winds doing? No, I'm stuck right here. I got to let them feed into that a little bit more before I can make a move. So it's like this constant adapting to that situation you're given. So it's a real exciting, thrilling way to hunt, similar to elk, where you're constantly making moves and relying upon your instincts to like guide you on the stalk of what you can get away with and what you can't. And then you make a mistake and you get too close, or you make a move and they catch you and they blow up. And it's like, okay, now I got to start over. Now I got to find some more axis deer, glass around, see if there's anything else around. Maybe I'm going to keep hunting up this cover. I'll run into another group, or I'll find another couple ones moving into the cover. But I really focus my energy mornings and nights. But if you're an all day hunting guy and you're limited on time,
We
you
only have
can definitely,
3 full days to hunt, so
yeah, you're going to be all day then.
all day. 3 full
Yep.
days to hunt them all day.
Yep. But 3 days in Hawaii is like 6 days in the States, man. It's so
Is it
much action and so
is
much
it really?
hunting. You'll be exhausted. Yeah. You get a lot of hunting in 3 days.
Cool. Yeah, we just got stuff going on. I'm going with Brad, and I think Brian has some like epic elk tag this year, so Brad's got to get back, and I'm coming out of a show and just trying to stay married as well, right? Just leaving all the time right now. I feel like I've been home for like maybe a total of like 4 days in the last like month. So and I leave again tomorrow for more trips. So I'm just trying to stay married before elk season, because elk season hits and I'm just going to be gone. I leave I think the 30th for my elk hunt. I'm going to stay over there at least 2 weeks, come back, and then go antelope hunting. I mean, it's just I'm so excited, dude. Like I was shooting my bow and I've just been dropping dimes lately, and I'm just like I'm so excited to get over there and do this axis hunt and then just have the season kick off, man. It's just, oh gosh, this is what we live for, right? Go do this. It's like so
Dude,
exciting.
totally what we live for. Yeah. The axis deer are real tough to shoot. Like they seem like they give you very small windows to shoot them. So they bring on target panic. It's like you really have to stay dedicated to your execution. You have to stay dedicated to your shot and taking a good shot, because they just give you such small windows. It's like all of a sudden, they're broadside and in between a couple trees, and you draw back, and then they take a couple steps and they're into the cover again. And so it really makes you like want to seize the opportunity, like they're broadside, punch it now, and you just have to stay disciplined to your shot, because the moment you make a mistake on your execution, you miss them, and then that can get inside your head. So things happen really quick on axis. And so you need to seize opportunities when they're broadside, or when you have your shot, you seize that opportunity, but you also don't want to force it. And if they take a step, just stay disciplined and let down. But it just seems like they move in and out of shooting windows. They're constantly moving. It's like really tough to get them like stopped in broadside where you can put a perfect arrow into them. but I just get comfortable in that bow range and waiting for the right opportunity. And when I see it, I try to seize it. But yeah, just keep that in your mind to like stay dedicated to your execution. Don't force arrows in branches. If there's branches in the way, you're definitely going to nick them. It's going to send your arrow flying. Just wait for that right shot, and then like just keep playing the game with them. Eventually, they're going to give you an opportunity, or a lot of times if you play the game correctly, like you're going to get a chance at them.
That's awesome, dude. What a cool podcast. So I guess we want to end a couple ways. We're gonna have you tell a hunting story because we always do that. But for the Hawaii to end the Hawaii part of this, there's certain hunts that have a barrier to entry is a little bit more difficult than other hunts, right? So like I go to Sonora and that hunt scares people. Like the figuring the logistics out. Alaska, very similar, right? I want to go. Everyone wants to go to Alaska, but it's like, how do I do that? And Hawaii, for some reason, people have the same thoughts. Like, well, I want to go to Hawaii, but like, how do I get the meat home? What is it like to get there? What's it like? So let's talk about that real quick. Like, what's the barrier to entry to this hunt? How hard is it to do to get over there to do it? Bring your stuff. Um, talk about that.
Yeah, so like I'm so fortunate that I have really good friends out there that help me with all those logistics and have helped make it feasible for me. They have great areas to hunt. They have vehicles for me to use. And so for me, I mean, it's just buying a plane ticket and going out there. And these guys really take care of me. And they love to hunt the states. And so, we trade information in the states, get them in good elk units, hunt with them elk hunting. So we kind of trade out. So there's a lot of good guys in Hawaii that want to hunt the states. So maybe you can work out a trade or something like that. There are like a lot of there are some draw hunts, some public land hunting out there. So hunting lanai, there's some draw hunts. So the logistics are getting a rental house, getting a rental rig. And the draw hunts, you have to sign up through Hawaii, and then they have a certain week that you can hunt. They have rifle hunts and bow hunts. There's also like public land hunting year round on Lanai that you can go to and sign up for $150. And they have bow only areas, they have shotgun areas. You can actually pay, it used to be like $300 a day to hunt a private side of the island for sheep and axis. So you can do that as well. It's just like get in touch with Lanai, and it's just kind of like these hunting the states. It's diving into the research. Also, one of my buddies, Sean Curran, is Missions Hawaii on Instagram. You can reach out to him. They've got a nonprofit that's bow hunting only in these zones where they control deer numbers where there aren't rifle hunting. So he's got some great spots to hunt. He'll let you hunt as many does and spikes as you want. He'll charge you per buck, but it's really reasonable, like not like what an outfitters will charge. He'll help you with logistics. And so you can call my buddy and pay for permission on one of his private spots, which, I get to hunt a lot of these private spots. These buddies like get me on these places. So I've hunted, a lot of the spots that Sean will take you is like places that I hunt when I'm on Maui. They do have public hunting on Maui as well. They have zones that you can hunt. So you can't just hunt any public land. You have to hunt these bow hunting zones that they have. They have 6 or 7 different zones, and there are deer in there. Not as many deer. They get hunted fairly hard. A lot of pigs and goats in there. But you can do your research and get into one of these public spots and go hunt them as well. So it's really just diving into the research. There's also outfitters on both places. So there's a plethora of private hunting and public hunting out there. It's just diving into the research. Logistics are tough, like staying over there can get expensive in hotels and things. I mean, it can be upwards of 500 a night on Maui. So definitely helps to like have buddies over there. Like camping is hardly an option in Hawaii. It's just a tropical place. And so
Mm-mm.
actually on Lanai, on the public hunting, they don't allow camping. But you just get, I smell so bad after a day of hunting. It's like this jungle smell that you sweat so much that you need a shower every single day, or the stench will dang near kill you. I think your body might rot away from itself. But yeah, I mean, I just those guys over there are happy to share information. I dive into the state research. I'd contact, my buddy Sean and look at like paying for permission on one of these private places or trading out on a hunt. Or, you can definitely do it yourself. It's just going to take diving into it. But there's opportunities out there for sure.
Now, what about getting your stuff home? Right? Like, so I'm a big fisherman, so we use a lot of fishing bags. So my buddy actually owns kill bags here in San Diego. So I bring Like when I fly, I bring one of his bags, weighs nothing. You know what like a tuna bag is?
Mhm. Yeah, I
So
think you were talking about them on my podcast. Yeah, man,
oh,
sounds
was it?
like an awesome deal. Yeah, the cold bags, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I should did I talk about yeah, I'll have to get you one, man. They're legit. So I'm gonna bring one of those with me because it weighs nothing. It rolls up into like, a little ball, and I can pull it out and have a 60 quart cooler with me, right? I have every size. I have their giant ones for I can put 2 or 3 elk in there. I got one small ones for deer. I'm gonna bring one of those inside my carry-on because I bring a big bow bag, a Sitka coat bow bag. Bring one of those in there, and then just fly it back as a carry-on, right? As long as it's under 50 pounds, you're gonna pay anything. If it's more, pay a little more. Is it hard traveling, like bringing the meat back, bringing the head back? How are you bringing the skulls back? How does all that look?
Yeah, so it's not bad at all. Like I use a lot of soft side coolers, so the soft side Yeti, the soft side Calcutta is a great one as well because it rolls up and fits in my bag. Meat care over there is super important. Like it is a tropical place that never drops. Bacteria grows at 50 degrees exponentially. So a deer will start to rot if you don't find your deer within an hour, hour and a half. Like it starts to go bad and can get flies in it and all sorts of stuff. So coolers and ice are so important out there. The minute you kill a deer, you got to get it taken care of and you got to get it on ice right away. So once it's on ice, what it looks like for me is I want to butcher it and get a freeze on it. So I'll butcher the animal, I'll get a freeze on it by using a freezer, or maybe you get a vacation rental house where you got a freezer. I use my buddy's places, throw it in the freezer, I get a freeze on it. Then it goes in the soft side bags. I like to use a vacuum sealer. If I don't have access to one, I'll just use Ziploc bags. I'll butcher it, freeze it, put it in the soft side coolers, and right, you can take it as a carry on, throw it in your overhead, or you pay $50, and I can usually fit a couple axis deer in one soft side cooler. I can bring a couple of them. I've had my family bring them back for me before as their carry ons. The head and the horns can be a little bit trickier. Definitely a boiled out skull is going to be best. If you don't have a boiled out skull, you can freeze the head. Axis deer, typically what I find is that if I can boil out the skull, sometimes I can package it in my big bag or whatever and get it home. Most of the time, I'm having to cut off one horn. So I'm cutting it right under the antler on the burr, and then I can put the skull and one horn in my bag, and the other horn I can lay in there flat. And then when I get home, I'll put in some all thread, I'll drill it into the base, drill it into the horn, reconnect it with some epoxy, and it's good to go. It's like a finished product. You can also skull cap them, and then you just cut your skull cap in like a Z formation or like a V formation, I guess it would be. So then it fits together when you get home, and you can wire it together, paper mache it, put a leather piece over it or piece of axis over top of it. Also, the axis hides are really cool to have tanned. I had a gal that was out there doing it for me. I don't have a contact out there now, but there are taxidermists out there. There's like butcher shops I know on Lanai that can butcher your animal, freeze it for you so it's all ready to go home. So really the logistics aren't bad. And I've just done the Hawaii trip so much, and New Zealand and Australia. I've just never had problems bringing my stuff home. I just kind of take care of it while I'm there, get a good freeze on it, wrap it up in plastic, and good to go.
Man, we gotta do a whole nother podcast because you said Australia, and I have some friends over there who invited me over there, and they're like, "We have 6 different types of deer." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I have to go to Australia." It's good.
Dude, Australia is so killer, man. Bunch of great bow hunters out there. Yeah, I went out there and hunted two of the species of deer. Hunted red deer really hard. That was a lot of my focus. And I'd always been turned off by red deer because of all the high fence hunting. Like all the ones you see with all the points and all the
Mhm,
non-typicals and drop
mhm.
points are all grown. They're all in a high fence or they're released into a safari park. And so that really turned me off from red deer. But then I got a chance to hunt like wild free range red deer. And I did a bit in New Zealand on my own. And then Australia, my buddies are such good red stags hunter. Like we live for like elk or mule deer. They live for red deer in the roar, which happens in April. Of course, their spring is our fall or our spring is their fall, I guess I should say. So when you go over in April, you get to take place in the roar, and these guys just live, eat, sleep, and breathe red deer, and able to kill a really nice 6x6 stag, which is like a dream stag free range for any Australian or New Zealand guy. And I just fell in love with hunting them, and then hunted sandbar in the jungle in there.
Yeah,
Not many
Sandbars.
Americans have killed a arrow to sandbar. I was able to kill a stag over there. Again, that was like a lot of still hunting, paying attention to tracks, slowing down when I see tracks. But dude, there was public land over there where we went out on this lake that was like 50 miles long, or they do kilometers out there. It's so tough to like
Yeah,
be able to talk to those guys
I
because
know.
everything is different as far as temperature and measurement. So I had to learn all that. But 50 miles long. And then we would just camp on the side of this lake, and then we just hunt these ridge lines for these sandbar all over in this public ground. Man, it was so much fun. As a riot, I did a couple weeks out there hunting, and definitely want to go back. I'm going back next dry season and going for the Asiatic water buffalo, which takes place in the Northern Territories
Dude, croc
with,
country.
yeah, saltwater crocs and mambas. And so yeah, I've gotten in for it. A really good buddy that's came out here and elk hunted with me, and so we're putting that together for next dry season, which will happen like late July or early August. Super intense heat out there, like around 100 degrees. And yeah, like you say, saltwater crocs. And he said it's not a matter of if they'll attack you. Like if you walk up to a water hole and there's a saltwater croc, 100% that thing will come after you if you come to the water's edge. And so it's just going to be this gnarly terrain or this gnarly adventure. And the Northwest Territories are so remote. You're so reliant upon your rig, or you got to have a
Mhm.
couple rigs or a backup, but you're hundreds of miles from civilization out in this dry, arid country. So I'm really looking forward to putting that together.
Yeah, I asked him, I was talking to my buddy James, and I'm like, "Well, if we hunt water buffalo, are we hunting water?" He's like, "No." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "There's crocodiles." Like, you just know. Like, he's like, "What if the animal dies next to you? If it dies there, you're just giving it to a croc." Like, there are crocodiles. Like, it's not even like a if, it's like, yes, there's crocs. That's cool. All right, dude. So we end every pod with the hunting stories, a campfire story. Um, you have a million, so just hit us with a hunting story, Brian.
Yeah, well, I'm just getting back from Hawaii and fresh in my head. I told you about that axis buck I killed. One of the adventures, one of my funnest hunts I go on is we go to a different island and we go hunt mouflon sheep. Mouflon sheep originate in Corsica. We don't get much of a chance to hunt sheep here in the States. I apply in every Western state. I apply for every sheep tag, and I've never drawn a desert or a bighorn or a California bighorn. But what I can do is go hunt these mouflon sheep. And so they've naturally adapted to this really gnarly lava rock canyon country. It's fairly open terrain, a lot of glassing and things. And then the lava rock canyons, they scare the heck out of me. There's some that you can't even cross, and you're hunting all the way from the ocean up to the top of the mountains. And this is a draw hunt, and so I'll do this with my buddies. Logistics are really tough on this hunt, but they pretty much open up half the island to hunt, so it feels like a real adventure hunt where you have all these gnarly red dirt roads, and you have rental rigs, and it's a bit of rallying just to get to your spots and back and forth, so that's really cool. I love being able to hunt with like 4 or 5 of my friends. These things are so switched on, the absolute best eyesight of any animal I've ever hunted. They only weigh about 60 pounds. They're a real small sheep. They'll go all the way to full curl and beyond. But yeah, so we went out and we had planned. This was the bulk of our hunt. We did 5 days. So we took my buddy Janus's boat over. He's got a really nice boat, does a bunch of work out on this island. And so we took his boat across the 7 Mile channel, which can be a bit gnarly. We got over, and then like the rock shorelines of this island, the waves are crashing on them, and there's fish in these like whitewater washes. And so we're throwing rapalas off the boat as we're coming in. And I had the hot hand that day, and we caught a couple fish. And then you're able to like cut them up that night and have sashimi, like raw fish
Mhm.
straight from the ocean. So like the island's providing. And then we start hunting these sheep. We've got 5 days. We start hunting them, and it's really tough hunting for these things. Numbers are down a bit, but they're still healthy populations, you just got to hunt hard for these rams. And so I had some close calls, made some plays, had two really nice rams one day that were just in the perfect spot. I'm 100 yards away, and I make my move to move up above them, and there's a couple ewes up above them, and so I'm frozen for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and finally I decide, God, I just gotta spook these ewes. Hopefully they don't go towards them, and then get my shot on this nice ram. And man, I blow out the ewes and they blow out the rams and they all take off. And it's like, God, I got to be more patient. I really got to make my best plays on these things. And so it really, like, I found some nice rams. I made plays here or there. The winds are gnarly to shoot in. So I had a couple misses on the one ram. I was hunting them one evening, gnarly crosswind. And I had them at 40 yards, came up over the top, this group of rams. Drew back. He didn't stop walking, let down, range him again. He's 60, and trying to shoot in like a crosswind is just so gnarly, like trying to get your pin where it needs to go, and it blows off and blows off. And so I missed him at 60, missed him at 72. Finally, like, didn't shoot at him because he didn't even hear the arrow at 72. It just hit the grass, and just missed him in the wind. I just couldn't find a good hold. And so anyways, that happened. Had a couple misses. Comes down to the last day. I locate those two big rams again. I get stuck making a play around them. They kind of work over the ridge, and I look for them in their beds for like a couple hours that morning. I never can relocate them. So I'm just making this big hike back to the truck, and it's big miles. I'm averaging 12 miles a day, 3,000 vert a day in the lava rock country in the
Really?
heat. And so I'm just walking to the other vehicle. I'd made a through hunt. And as I'm walking to the other vehicle, I'm glassing in front of me, and on the edge of this big canyon, I catch like this nice 3/4 curl, like a big, mature, respectable ram. The one I'm looking for is with some other rams. And again, I don't blow them out. I get frozen there mid-morning, and I may lose them. They may go to bed and I can't find them, but I'm just not going to take the chance of blowing them or busting them, and finally can make my approach down and up the other side, and just make a perfect approach on this ram and catch him broadside and put a perfect arrow into him. As a longer shot, like the shot that I missed the day before at 70 yards or wherever I got that shot on that ram. But I was tucked in the coulees and didn't have the wind, so I was able to find my hold, execute a good shot. So the last hour, the last day, and I know it's cliche that everybody says that when they're on a hunt, but we honestly have to jump on the boat. I've got a plane to catch the next morning. Like, we are the last hour, the last day, and I arrowed a nice ram, only one in the group to kill one this year, which really fortunate. Those guys are great bow hunters and have killed a bunch of rams themselves. But it was tough hunting over there, and so able to kill a really nice ram last hour, the last day, with a perfect shot, perfect execution, and bring some sheep home, some sheep meat home to the States. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome, dude. Brian, it is always a pleasure to get to talk to you. Again, I am so appreciative of getting to know you. Um, where can we find you? Let's talk about your podcast, your Instagram, all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Likewise, Drew, man. I'm really glad that we're building this friendship, and yeah, we have to get together again in the future. But yeah, guys can find me. Got the couple podcasts I run. Eastman's Elevated is the one you were on. We'll be releasing that episode soon, and then Eastman's Bow Hunting Journal is the new podcast I do with Dan Bakar. So we get on there, talk in depth bow hunting. So you find me on those couple podcasts. Eastman's Hunting TV on YouTube. There's some videos on there. Check out the writing in the magazines, things like that. And really the best way is to follow my Instagram at Brian_Barney.
Awesome, dude. Let's do it again. I'm about to send you some access to your pics here in 2 weeks. I'll be killing some deer.
Yeah, dude, I can't wait to hear about your hunt out there. Yeah, have an absolute riot, soak it in, and I can't wait for the pictures to hit my phone. So have some fun, Drew.
Thanks, bro.